Hello and welcome back to Retfurb. So on today's video I've got this Gameboy Pocket that I'm going to be fitting a rechargeable lithium battery that I've purchased from AliExpress. So this is the Gameboy Pocket, which is the DMG style, which is a Japanese model, and this is the part from AliExpress. This is a small circuit board, then you've got a rechargeable USB cable, and then you've got the rechargeable battery. So not too many parts in the package, but they all look good, all look okay, no issues with them. Everything looks like it's a pretty good quality. So the first thing we need to do is get inside of the Gameboy Pocket. So there's 6 screws on the back of it, and these are the tri-wing style screws, so you will need a special screwdriver to get them out. So with this mod there is a bit of modification that needs doing to the shell to get the battery to fit in the compartment correctly. Obviously you're removing the original AA's, and there's a small separator piece in between where the batteries go that needs to be adjusted slightly, but we'll get to that shortly in the video. The first thing we need to do is get inside. So this one originally had a mod that I'm pointing out here, which is the backlight mod. I am intending to do an IPS screen on this next, but that'll be on a separate video. So the first thing you need to do is to get the F2 removed. Now you just need to unsolder each point. You can see here I'm just heating up each point just to remove it, and then using a small set of tweezers just to remove that out of place. And I'm just going to go over and just tidy up the connections there, because you will need to solder back onto that point. And I'm just adding a small bit of solder in the area as well, just to help that when I come to solder the small circuit board in place. And also on this part you need to solder the circuit board to that section also, so I'm just adding another small bit of solder onto that point. Now you can see I'm just locating the small circuit board in place. Now I did actually redo the modification at the time for the backlight. I just tidied up the wires and hid them out of the way slightly, so it made it easier, but I didn't show that on the video. Obviously that's nothing to do with this actual process. So you can see here, this is the first solder location. Now the place that I bought this on AliExpress, it shows you exactly what you need to do and all the points, which I'll link in the description also, just to give you another visual idea of how it's done. And then there's these 2 points that need soldering in the F2 location where that component was removed. Just making sure when you do it you've got it all lined up correctly, making sure the hole in the old circuit board is lining up with the new circuit board. Or I say circuit board, it's not really a board as such, well I suppose it is, but it's more of a plastic flexible board as such. And that's it, that's the soldering all done. It's as easy as that. There's no, nothing too much to do on it. It's 3 solder points and just making sure you've got it located correctly. And now I'm just going to plug the battery in and just make sure that I've got that soldered in correctly. So you can see there straight away it loads up and it's all working okay. Obviously there's no cartridge in there at the moment, but yeah, the actual battery is showing that it's putting power into the Game Boy. Just being careful when you're plugging this in and removing it. Obviously you don't want to damage that small little flexible board. And now this is the part where you need to modify the actual rear part of the casing. It won't go in correctly with those dividers in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip out part of it using a set of side cutters and just snip out the plastic before I go in and trim it down and make it more tidy. But this is just to remove the biggest portion of it first. And now just making sure the battery will slot into that little location. So it was a little bit tight, so I just thought I'd take a little bit more out first. Obviously what I would say with this, I'm trying to make it as tidy as possible whilst I'm doing it. I didn't want to make it look too out of place, so I'm going around trying to keep that divider in there as much as possible, just in case I wanted to use it on a standard Game Boy Pocket again, and you've still got the divider then for 2 batteries. Also, you want to keep a little bit in there because you don't want it flapping around. You could remove the whole piece, but I think the battery would then be flapping around inside. So I've tried to do it so it fits snug, so there's no movement. Now, I keep trying it in. I'd rather take a little bit off at a time, and you can see I'm just going over with a small multi-tool. This is a little Dremel tool, and I'm just going around tidying it up, making it look as original as I can with doing this modification so it doesn't look out of place. It doesn't look like I've hacked it about, and then just keep trying that battery and little by little taking bits off. And again, just taking a little bit more off to make sure it sits in there nicely. And then just trying the battery again. So this time that was all perfect, so it's all sitting there nicely. So now we need to just see what modification we need to do at the back of it, just to get that cable located correctly and it's not snagging on the original battery point. So now I'm just getting the little Dremel tool again and just digging out a little bit on the back there, just carefully taking enough out that it allows the cable to go past the small connector for the old batteries, and it's not getting in the way and it's not going to be damaged in any way. And then just plugging it back into the circuit board again, being very careful while you're doing this. And now basically it's a case of trying to route that cable around, that it's not going to be getting in the way once you close the case. You know, you don't want it to stop you from screwing it down. You don't want it to pinch at all and break that cable once you are screwing it down also. So you need to make sure you carefully put that in a way that it's not going to get in any way whilst you're trying to fit it together and cause potential issues with shorting or anything like that. So it is a little bit fiddly, it just takes a little bit of just getting it around. So I'm just pointing out here, that's the little part that I cut out to allow that wire to come through. Without doing that, it was a little bit tight and it wasn't ideal really. So doing that small little notch at the back just helped that battery sit correctly. And now just getting the screws put back in. And just checking it's working before I go any further. I don't want to keep going and then there's an issue. So you can see there it's loading up all fine. So now just to carry on and put the screws back in. So we're basically there with it now. There's nothing else to do with the mod. Obviously just want to make sure the battery's sat in there nicely when you come to clip it in place. But yeah, that's it. I hope that's helped with the process. I hope if you're, looking at doing this, I hope it gives you an idea of just how easy it is to do, and it is a good little modification, nice and easy. And to recharge it, you've got the small USB cable with the connection at the end, and this just plugs in at the bottom of the Game Boy. And yeah, it's nice and easy. I'm not sure what the charging time is, but it's not that long. Yeah, I think this is a brilliant little mod. Saves you keep replacing the batteries. I know you can get rechargeable AA's, but I just think this is a lot more convenient and yeah, a decent little mod to do. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. It's really appreciated. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.